Hello, friends, enemies. I I saw this thing called Magical March Contest, right? So that like MSM, Big Blue Bubble, monster handlers, those real folk. They were like, um, create a video, things you like about MS, love about MS, my singing monsters, and then to upload that. And those are like the two rules. And I'm like, scrambling. Uh, okay, what are all the rules? What are all the specifications? Jeez, what format do I make this video in? Do I have to make an animation? It's just stupid. I don't know. I was like, or should I even make this video at all? Because it's like, why should I enter a contest if I'm like a YouTuber or something? But I saw some other YouTubers do it, so, it can't be that bad. It can't be that much of a crime. Yeah, so, MSM wants to know what people, and it also might mean that MSM maybe wants to know why people love my singing monsters. So, do I love my singing monsters? Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Uh, okay. So, it's it's like a lot of my life has somehow been like, for better or for worse, shaped by my singing monsters in some aspect. At least the last 5 or 6 years or something. Like I've played MSM for longer than that. I remember playing it in middle school, which would have been like 8 years ago. But I started making videos 5 years ago about my singing monsters. That was my first time talking to people on the internet. I was I'm like back then I was a social hermit, right? Or actually, yeah, like I just went into online school because I thought I was too dangerous for middle school, or so because of like bipolar disorder, I guess, or something, So yeah, so I was talking to people and so MSM like definitely created like some of my first friends online, and it's like most of the people that I met are out of my life, and it makes me super duper duper sad. I cry about it all the time. But I still have my bestie, my unnamed bestie, another bestie, and another person. All these people who talk to me and tell me things. Dude, I've met some killer people through my singing monsters, and people that have seriously helped me, made my life so much better. I really, I'm really thankful for all the people who have entered my life as of recent. I know that I look really edgy and emo because of my bangs covering like my eyes, but I'm not looking at the camera much. Maybe if I move here, yeah. Uh, the camera makes my eyes look very like pink for some reason. I don't. It's kind of ridiculous, but um, yeah. So it just I like when it comes to my singing monsters, I feel like I have a lot to be thankful for what it has done in my life. But that is just like some of the emotional stuff that I love about my singing monsters. Okay, then there's the art that I about my singing monsters. So I'm gonna boot up my singing monsters and just kind of look at my islands while I talk. I love how MSM has laws, rules, and formulas. Something that I find really fascinating about the real world is that there's a logic to how almost everything is built, right? How all the plants, all the animals, everything, right? MSM, they have their own rules, laws, and systems in their world. There's monsters are related to each other. There's colossals who have geological or something of that nature, geological history or something to them. There's the continent and, um, you know, quote unquote extinction event, which didn't turn out to actually be an extinction event. So, um, so like MSM has definitely found a way to capture, you know, a lot of what makes the real world beautiful, but in its own like fictional sense. You know, I'm sorry that I talk super duper hippy dippy, um, but yeah, I'm gonna drink some water. Oh my god. By the way, this is completely unscripted. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I figured that might be best. But yeah, like there's all this systems to it, and like, oh, dude, that just gets my imagination going, like crazy. I always love to like speculate things and imagine the world of like the past, the present, the future, or what if there was a completely different new world, you know? And that's like why I create like a lot of my art is because I just love to create like these worlds, and I like also love to learn about like other worlds too. All Tomorrows is a great book too for that like reason. So yeah, it's just whew. Like there's just you can tell like with my singing monsters is that there's like a love of science and a love of like logic and math. Because like all the monsters are based off of elemental combos, right? We have singles, doubles, triples, quads, each with their own combinations, and there's 5 islands, each with their own combinations of monsters, and that's like that's fun, man. And like and so like rather than each song being decided from uh what would fit tonally for like a song, and, and I'm not like fully saying that, but like you know making a song based off of math, making decisions based off of math instead of, I'm gonna put a guitar because a guitar sounds good, but what if there's not a guitar on that island? So they have to make piano and a plunger noises work together instead. It's like cool. It's radical. Oh. um. Ooh. Yeah. So that's like I just love what putting constraints on art can do sometimes. Sometimes it could be really lame. It could suck. Like, you're watching a TV episode and then it feels kind of rushed because they had to cram it for like a 15-minute segment or something. That might not be as common now because of streaming, but definitely in my time, there was like TV slots, right? And so that mean that episodes have to be 15 minutes because that is the amount of time that is allotted on the schedule for TV. So, but that's a tangent. You know, constraints could still do amazing things for art. Um, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System has uh has musical limits, and those are that I think only 8 or 9 tracks can play at once on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. So that means only 9 notes or 9 sounds can be played at the same time. Uh, which can actually be really restricting. But yeah. Uh, but I think that did a lot of great things for music on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System as far as creativity goes. Because that just meant that musicians like the Fallen Brothers, right? They had to come up with how are we going to make a song work with only 7 instruments, and how can we make these beautiful orchestrations, dramatic songs, and relaxing songs with these limitations of what we can and cannot do, and that create like a lot of Super Nintendo Entertainment System music is beautiful for that reason. Um, but the MSM created these constraints artificially. They didn't have to make islands that would have these constraints as far as design goes. Yet they chose from a design standpoint. We are going to have these monsters on these islands, and the way that you get them is going to be through math, and we're going to make music through math. And that is super cool. um, and I'm not even like that much of a math nerd, but you know. So yeah, that's why I also got so um obsessed with My Singing Monsters music, because it, to make a song, and you could only use these instruments, and then these instruments you can, and then on the next island you'll use half of those instruments, and then you have to come up with another uh, like 8 sounds, and that's how you make the next island. And then the next island, it's like you have like 10 or 11, and then you have to come up with like 4 or 5 or something, you know. Uh, that was just exciting, and that's how I learned a lot of my music skills. Cause like I wasn't a good musician before, like I was making My Singing Monsters content. I was taking Undertale MIDIs. MIDIs are just files that contain musical data, and replacing the instruments on them to create different songs. I wasn't actually making music before I like got into My Singing Monsters. I made a few tracks. I was trying. I was, but I made nothing good. Like, in my opinion, just bless my young soul. I'm sorry, but it wasn't that good. Uh, and, it's like, oh, dude, like working with people, all the musicians that I met back then, a lot of them turned out to be completely horrible people, but like, hey, at least I learned, like, a lot of great music. And not all of them were. Yeah, okay, there's like people like the Monster Explorers. Mwah. Uh, great people. You know, and I understand that like a lot of people are just misinformed, which is the reason why they're so mean to me. But uh, yeah. So pretty much, like, I love my singing monsters. It's like, ooh, okay, like it affected my past and it also affects my present, and then it's also affecting my future. Cause it's like I haven't gave up on my singing monsters, like the game, or making art of my singing monsters just yet. Um, like, let's see, 2 years ago or 1.5 years ago, I don't know when exactly. I decided that I was gonna quit my YouTube channel, and um, the main reason why I did that was because somebody, you know, honestly, think it was because some person who was grooming me was like, stop making videos because you're evil and a sociopath and nobody likes you. It's like, and then I quit because I'm like a little wussy who sucks up to everybody. And then over some time, that didn't really sit well with me. I was like, wait, why did I abandon all my dreams because I was told to? That just didn't feel right to me. That wasn't the example that I wanted to set or the legacy that I wanted to set. I didn't want my art to amount to that. It's never how I saw it either. So I didn't decide that it would go that way, and I came back to YouTube. Uh, but I was like, when I came back to YouTube, I was definitely like struggling this last year. Um, PTSD just made things hard, and I was also socially isolated, so the combination wasn't too good. My PTSD is really, really bad. I tend to think that my mental state is like, oh, like, you're in the situation that was super traumatizing to you, like, 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die, and I'm like, that's the emotion going on in my head while I'm trying to like animate Wobox, which is just like awful, terrible, um, and I I've been really scared for my life because I wanna mm, grow and move on to like an adult life, you know. Uh, but I don't want to give up on anything. I'm really stubborn. I don't want to quit nothing. So I'm just like thinking. I've just been thinking like, how can I accomplish all my dreams? So it's like, okay, I still, I love MSM. I want to keep on doing MSM stuff, but I also love my own art. And it's like, okay, so I should make MSM videos, and I should also make my own original art because I feel like MSM really does feel like home for me. And like with my YouTube channel, I always want to find some way to kind of pay a little bit of tribute to MSM because like the sound makers, is definitely, it's definitely very inspired by MSM, you know. So it's and the sound makers is like a project that just means so much to me. That is, I don't want to quit working on the sound makers ever. I love these characters to death. I love making the songs for these characters to death. I love the stories that I'm at least trying to tell with these characters to death. uh, but like the sound makers wouldn't exist without my singing monsters. That's for sure. Which is, you know, it, it's everything just feels connected to me, and I think in the world, it kind of is that way. Like nothing really happens without a reaction. You know, like all the energy that people give off, it's like it makes an impact on the world. So I don't know. Yeah, so it's like MSM is just beautiful game. My biggest inspiration, that's for sure. uh, this video was an emotional roller coaster. But like MSM, I also feel like MSM gives me a lot of hope, you know? Um, and hope and faith are the main things that I'm like clinging on to at the moment. Because I'm super duper duper like not not feeling okay at all. Like traumatic flashbacks are just horrible. Nightmares are horrible. Being depressed is absolutely horrible. It's a nightmare. I really don't like being alive. That's saying. Let's just not analyze that statement too much. Uh, so, and I need to have that like faith and hope in something. You know, I and what I choose to have faith and hope in is that I'm gonna make enough money doing art. That I'll be able to live on my own and be able to eat healthy and like live comfortably whilst working as hard as I can on my own art, and like that would just make me so happy, and I'm trying so hard to make that possible. And you know everybody's support, oh, all the people who play My Singing Monsters, and people who are also fans of my content. Typically it's the same. Same people. It's like, dude, you might be able to make my dreams come true, and I want to do. And I mean, it really is my dream. It's what I care about so much because it matters just so much to me. Like, I really freaking love My Singing Monsters, and I want to keep. I want to keep that dream that I have alive. I want to make it a reality. And I don't want to like have to not make that a reality because of some dumb groomer person, who abused me. Uh, so yeah, it's just like there's just a lot of love in this project, and I really, I feel like I have a bit of a duty to like do the right thing, and also be like a positive inspiration because like yeah. So, you know, I also think like so when I make like right now I'm working on this video like Wobox. It's a Wobox animation. I've been working on it for like weeks. Um, but and you know when I'm working on it, like what I think is that this animation to me is like hope and faith that I'll be able to make money, that I'll be able to get myself out of the ground, out of the trenches, that I'll be able to food, medicine, a home, and that I'll feel safe. And it's like, there's a, My Singing Monsters represents a lot of hope for me as well, which I think is definitely ties into love. So it's like, oh jeez, man, this is a roller coaster of a video. But yeah, so like it's My Singing Monsters is like everything to me. And of course, and if my dreams don't come true, it's all right. I'll find a way to I'll find another way to make my dreams come true. But like, I think even if it fails, if it succeeds, My Singing Monsters holds a very very special place in my heart because there's just so much beauty in it in all aspects. Even though some of the community is super duper bad, really 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 bad, like like kind of stalking me and like making me kind of afraid for my life. Um, it, I I still love my fans. And I love My Singing Monsters, and I love everything, man. You know, I even try to be as nice as I can to my enemies. There's one exception. Two, three. There's a couple exceptions, but like, I try to be as loving and kind to everybody. I think that's important. So, yeah, I love My Singing Monsters. And yeah, this emotional roller coaster of a video. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Uh, Honestly, I feel like I opened up some tender feelings inside my heart. So let's hope posting this video doesn't go too bad. But yeah, I love my singing monsters. Peace.